A pretrial motions hearing continues for the alleged mastermind behind the killing of Memphis rapper Young Dolph. Hernandez Govan is facing several charges, including first-degree murder for the 2021 shooting. Govan, one of the prime suspects in the rapper's death, is now out of jail on a $90,000 bond.
After posting a whopping $90,000 bond, Hernandez Govin, the man accused of being the mastermind behind Young Dolph's brutal murder, vanished into thin air. He straight up ghosted his July 28, 2025 court date. And let's just say the judge was not playing around.
What could be happening is that you could be in jail. And it's a whole lot easier to supervise you there.
Now here's where things get even more wild. Chip in on this. Yo Gotti still hasn't come out and denied anything about being connected to Dolph's murder. Not one word. It's raising major eyebrows and stirring up talk that this could be one of Memphis rap's darkest and longest running feuds. This all traces back to the infamous 2021 killing of Young Dolph. The spotlight is now burning on Hernandez Govin. Even though Govin's shouting not guilty, prosecutors are calling him the brains behind the hit.
He's being charged with being the mastermind of this.
They claim he put the entire plot into motion, allegedly setting up a hit on Young Dolph, whose real name was Adolph Thornton Jr., with a $100,000 bounty that came from Anthony Big Jook Mims, Yo Gotti's own big brother. Let's rewind to the crime scene, November 17th, 2021. Dolph was gunned down while buying cookies at Makita's homemade butter cookies in South Memphis. Right away, people were whispering, this wasn't no robbery, it was a straight up planned execution. Cops later dropped names, 4 of them Justin Johnson, aka Straight Drop, allegedly pulled the trigger. Cornelius Smith was the supposed getaway driver and another shooter.
Prosecutors say the rapper's murder was ordered after he wrote lyrics that disrespected someone from another.
Then there's Shundale Barnett, tagged as an accessory, but the one at the top, Govin, accused of running the whole show. And here's the kicker. Govin reportedly got that hit order straight from Big Jook and passed it right down to Johnson and Smith. This isn't some internet rumor either. That info, it came straight from Cornelius Smith himself. He spilled it in a sworn proffer. Multiple media outlets blew the story wide open after court documents dropped in mid-2024. On September 23rd, 2024, everything changed. Cornelius Smith took the stand and dropped a bombshell. He admitted that he and Justin Johnson were the 2 masked men caught on camera outside Makita's homemade butter cookies, the same tragic spot where Young Dolph was mercilessly shot down in broad daylight on November 17th, 2021. That footage, it showed the 2 stepping out of a white Mercedes just moments after Dolph pulled into the lot. Then all hell broke loose. They opened fire like it was a war zone. Smith later revealed that Dolph was hit 22 times before he collapsed on the pavement, alone and bleeding out. Absolutely brutal.
An aspiring rapper known as Straight Drop wanted to be part of the CMG record label and is innocent. He places blame on a 3rd defendant charged in Dolph's death, Hernandez.
But Smith didn't stop there. He confirmed that the 2 men in the surveillance video were him and Johnson, putting both of them directly at the crime scene. And the motive? Cold, hard cash. They were each promised $40,000 for the hit. Govin, allegedly the middleman, collected his own $10,000 cut from each shooter for organizing the hit. Now here's where it gets grimy. Smith said he only saw $800 before getting arrested. Just $800. Meanwhile, his lawyer ended up receiving a fat wire of $50,000, allegedly sent by Big Jook after the murder. That money trail is raising even more questions. And Smith, he painted a dark picture of where he was mentally, still grieving his 9-year-old son deep in the pills, and broke. He said he was numb to everything around him.
You can find Johnson guilty or not guilty on 3 different charges. Number 1, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. 2, first-degree murder. And the 3rd, a convicted felon in possession of a firearm.
I wasn't feeling nothing at the time. I was trying to get some money, he told the court when asked how it felt to take someone's life. Johnson, charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy, and multiple weapons charges, stayed stone-faced as his lawyer tried to tear Smith's testimony apart. They claimed the video wasn't enough and that Smith was just snitching to save himself, but it was too late. The jury had made up their minds. Just 3 days later, on September 26, 2024, Justin Johnson was convicted on all counts and sentenced to life in prison. Just 4 days after Smith's jaw-dropping courtroom confession, the verdict came down hard and all eyes snapped straight to Hernandez Govan. Smith didn't just expose himself and Johnson, he connected the dots right back to Govin. This wasn't just about trust. Govin was the go-between, the man pulling strings, handing out instructions, and allegedly coordinating every step of the hit.
And why is that?
Because I think even the district attorney said, I didn't hear this, but I understand it was said on the news that he's not the shooter.
According to court documents, Govin didn't just know about the plan. He met up multiple times with Johnson and Smith to pass along the bounty orders straight from Big Jook. He allegedly laid out the payment routes, gave the go-ahead, and made sure everything was moving according to plan. Prosecutors are now hitting Govin with serious heat: first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and attempted murder, all tied to his suspected role in setting up the kill. The receipts don't lie. Between money trails, texts, logistics, and multiple witness statements, the feds say it's clear Govin was the mastermind. With Johnson already convicted and Jamarcus Johnson, Justin's brother, having pled guilty as an accessory, the circle is tightening fast, and that leaves Govin in the hot seat. Right now, he's the only one who could potentially confirm or shut down this whole alleged conspiracy. But his own social media might have just buried him deeper. In 2022, before Dolph's murder, Govin posted bizarre messages on Facebook about sacrifices and becoming a god. When grilled in court, he brushed it off, saying it was just artistic expression. Still, prosecutors are now fighting to bring those posts into evidence at trial. Even more controversial, after initially being denied bail, Govin somehow secured release in May 2024 on a $90,000 bond. The judge only allowed it under strict house arrest and GPS monitoring, but that decision blew up online. People were outraged that someone accused of orchestrating the murder of a rap legend could just walk out before trial. Originally, Govin's trial was set for July 28, 2025, but it's been pushed back to August 18, 2025. Court watchers say this delay might be no accident. Some think the defense is buying time to weaken Smith's testimony, while others believe prosecutors might be cooking up a massive Rico case that could drag even more names into the fire.
Yo Gotti wanted to sign Young Dolph at one time. Young Dolph considers himself as his own boss. He says no, and I think Yo Gotti took offense.
The real bomb dropped in June 2024 during a proffer interview that shook the whole case wide open. Cornelius Smith, under oath, named Hernandez Govin directly. No more speculation, he put the name on it. Smith said Govin met with him and Justin Johnson, aka Straight Drop, multiple times, laid out the terms, and told them flat out the $100,000 bounty to kill Dolph came straight from Big Jook. Even more wild, Smith claims Govin promised them protection afterwards, saying everything was cleared from the top, like some mafia-style setup. And guess what? This lines up way too perfectly with what folks in Memphis had been whispering since day one. The streets already believed someone from Yo Gotti's camp had a hand in this. The beef between Gotti and Dolph wasn't just music, it was real life. Things got heated back in 2017 when Dolph dropped the diss track Play With Yo, and not long after, Dolph was shot in LA but survived that time. Now Memphis is torn apart. This ain't just about music. Young Dolph was more than a rapper.
Several attempts made on Young Dolph's life, and he survived.
He was a hero to many. He gave out turkeys every Thanksgiving, flipped foreclosed homes into housing for the community, and put local artists on the map through his Paper Route Empire label. He gave back, and that's why the city feels this one deep. On the flip side, Govan's name has always carried controversy. Even before this case, he'd been tied to gang activity and drug plots. Never convicted, but his name kept coming up. And the tragedy didn't stop with him. His own daughter, Lotta Cash Desto, an up-and-coming rapper, was shot and killed in Houston in 2022. Govin later posted online saying her death was spiritual karma for what he had done. Those deleted posts, prosecutors are now trying to bring them into evidence. If Govin gets convicted, he's looking at life in prison with no parole. A report by moguldom.com stirred the pot even more, laying out major connections between CMG, Yo Gotti, and the murder of Young Dolph. The article, titled "Popular Hip-Hop YouTuber, Here Are the Pieces Coming Together," pulled the curtain back on some heavy claims, and fans are locked in, watching every new twist unfold. Here's what the streets are saying. And Moguldom's report didn't hold back. Hernandez Govin allegedly had direct links to people connected with CMG. This wasn't just some random street beef. When Govin's daughter, rising rapper Lotta Cash Desto, was tragically gunned down in Houston, rumors swirled that it might have been retaliation, a move rooted in long-standing street politics.
The shooting in Hickory Hill with connections to Memphis rapper Yo Gotti.
On top of that, Big Jook and Govin had been seen together at multiple events around Memphis. While it hasn't been officially confirmed, folks believe Govin wasn't acting out of thin air. There were real ties and real history. This goes beyond personal vendettas. Memphis ain't just a city, it's a battlefield filled with old grudges, deep affiliations, and dangerous loyalty lines. Young Dolph wasn't just another rapper, he stood for something. He repped Paper Route Empire, an independent powerhouse shaking up the game and threatening to dethrone Yo Gotti's CMG collective music group. The tension between Dolph and Gotti didn't just stay in the booth, it spilled into the streets. Fans online haven't forgotten. They've pieced together the past, like that 2017 Hollywood shooting where Dolph was hit multiple times and the Charlotte ambush where his SUV got sprayed with over 100 bullets. No direct connection to CMG was ever proven in those attacks, but the timing and history kept people suspicious. See, this feud wasn't just bars over beats, it was personal. Word is, years ago, Yo Gotti tried to sign Dolph, but Dolph turned him down cold. Gotti didn't take that lightly. Ever since, it's been silent war, shots fired in the music, and allegedly in real life. Let's not forget, back in 2017, Dolph was ambushed outside the Lowe's Hotel in Hollywood. Police named Yo Gotti as a person of interest at the time, though he was never charged. But that moment marked a major shift, and fans saw it as just another chapter in a deadly rivalry that refused to die down. When Dolph dropped Play With Yo, it wasn't just a diss track, it was a full-blown lyrical assault on Yo Gotti. He called him jealous, weak, and fake, straight up clowning him in front of the whole rap game. And to Gotti, that was pure disrespect. Now, with Gotti's own brother allegedly tied to what's being called the biggest hit in Memphis rap history, that long-standing beef is getting dissected from every angle. Even though the courts haven't linked Yo Gotti directly to the case, that hasn't stopped fans, blogs, and armchair investigators from putting their own pieces together. Online sleuths claim CMG may have used shell companies to funnel money to low-level hitters. And while the public hasn't seen the full phone record dump yet, there are whispers that contact between Gotti, Big Jook, and Govin might go way deeper than anyone expected. So with all that smoke, it's no surprise people believe Govin was really taking orders from Big Jook. To many in Memphis, that idea ain't far-fetched at all. Ever since Govin's name came up in court, and with Big Jook being publicly tied to the case, fans started asking the big question, where's Yo Gotti in all this? He's been dead silent, no interviews, no social media statements, and definitely not showing up at the courthouse. Some even noticed he hasn't been seen anywhere in Memphis since this trial started making headlines. Then came the shocker. In January 2024, Anthony Big Jook Mims was shot and killed outside a funeral home in Memphis. This happened just days before he was supposedly going to be called in for questioning. Local Memphis news confirmed it was a targeted hit. Now the internet's running wild with theories. Some believe it wasn't just revenge, it was a cleanup move, meant to silence someone before they could talk. With Big Jook gone and Gotti staying quiet, it feels like every spotlight is now burning straight down on Hernandez Govin. And get this, right after Dolph was killed in November 2021, The city was on edge. Rumors of revenge started flying, and authorities had to deploy police around Yo Gotti's restaurant just to stop the streets from blowing up. While no official attacks were confirmed, the body count kept rising, adding fuel to the belief that something way deeper was going on. In June 2023, Joshua CEOTZ Taylor, a man investigators were watching closely in connection to Young Dolph's murder, was found shot dead inside his car in Orange Mound. Cops had hoped he could help link the pieces between Justin Johnson and Cornelius Smith. But now, another potential witness gone forever. And the death toll didn't stop there. Years earlier, Lotta Cash Desto, Govin's daughter and a rising rapper in Houston, was gunned down in a bold daylight hit. At the time, folks didn't know what to make of it, but later, when Govin himself started posting cryptic messages about spiritual karma, people began tying it all together.
Man once named as a person of interest in Young Dolph's murder has now also been killed. Family members confirmed Joshua Taylor was found shot and killed in Orange Mound yesterday afternoon, leaving that community on edge as they worry who might be next.
His post made it sound like he knew there'd be consequences for what he had done. Now, with more deaths and more secrets unraveling, people are convinced these hits are connected, a cycle of violence and revenge that keeps spiraling. Once Cornelius Smith dropped names in court, especially Big Jook and Govin, the internet exploded. Memes, theories, and viral exposés spread across X and YouTube like wildfire. One tweet put it plain: Yo Gotti's name ain't in court, but his crew keeps ending up dead. Memphis knows, tweeted Charis Levi, echoing what a lot of people already suspect. Titles like Yo Gotti is hiding popped up all over the internet, hinting at something way bigger, either a conspiracy or fear. The more Govin speaks, the closer people think this case might creep up the ladder. Some even believe the court's slow pace is giving time for someone higher up to cover their tracks. Let's be real, none of these theories have been proven. They're all speculation, built on missing social media posts, silent courtrooms, and unanswered questions. But what is fact? Dolph never bowed to CMG. He turned down every offer. He even dropped disses aimed straight at CMG and their number 2 man, Big Jook. Smith testified that the $100,000 bounty came straight from Big Jook and was passed down through Govin. Now Govin's out on bond, his trial delayed again. Big Jook is dead. Yo Gotti hasn't said a single word, and through all of it, Young Dolph's label and legacy keep rising. Social media is blazing right now with theories that this wasn't just a street beef, it was a major label hit. Some fans believe money moved through music industry channels, all tied to an ongoing power struggle between independent artists and major label machines. While nothing's been officially proven, folks are saying this trial might be the one moment where the truth finally cracks wide open, especially if Govin flips or unexpected evidence hits the courtroom. And this ain't just stressing out Gotti fans. Behind the scenes, there's real chatter that if prosecutors can officially link Big Jook's alleged role to a wider chain of violence tied to CMG or its artists, it could trigger a federal case. That opens the door for Rico charges, a strategy prosecutors love when they think a label might be hiding a double life behind the music. Yo Gotti's best move right now, stay far away and keep quiet, but if Govin turns witness to save himself, that silence could become very loud in court. As tension builds, all eyes are now locked on Hernandez Govin. Govin's legal team is under serious pressure. They're trying to rip apart the prosecution's story and cast doubt on every claim. Their argument is simple. There's no hard proof tying Govin to the actual crime. No video of him giving out orders. No wiretap phone calls plotting murder. No bank trail proving he touched that $10,000 cut. Their main push, it all comes down to Cornelius Smith, the only person pointing fingers. And Smith, he's a cooperating witness trying to save his own skin. The defense keeps hammering this, saying Smith had every reason to tell prosecutors whatever they wanted to hear to cut a better deal for himself. And there's more. Govin's team has raised big concerns about venue bias. They claim that in a city like Memphis, where people are still grieving Dolph, it's nearly impossible to find a fair jury. The media storm has been nonstop, and they argue it's already poisoned public opinion. They even tried to get the trial moved to a different county, but that motion was denied. Still, just making the request shows how nervous they are about the local pressure. Meanwhile, the trial itself keeps getting bumped, originally scheduled for March 10th, 2025, then moved to July. It's now set for August 18th, 2025. The defense says these aren't delay tactics. They're just trying to make sure every inch of Smith's story gets picked apart and that nothing in the discovery goes unchecked.
Well, for 5 straight years, late rapper Young Dolph made sure that needy families in Memphis were able to celebrate Thanksgiving. Dolph's turkey giveaways became one of the most anticipated events of the year in Memphis for literally hundreds of people in our community.
Back in late 2023, Govin made a bold move. He turned down a plea deal. That sent a strong message. Either his legal team is confident they can tear the case apart, or they're betting someone else might flip first and shift the heat. Either way, Govin's playing the long game. One of the key angles for his defense, attacking the chain of custody behind the accusations. The goal here is to expose that the only solid connection between Govin and Dolph's murder is Cornelius Smith's word, and that Smith's word can't be verified through independent records. Smith's money claims and shifting details are now prime targets for the defense during cross-examination. They're digging into whether Smith's memory could have been shaped by outside pressure, other people's retellings, or just trying to save himself after making his deal with prosecutors. Another part of Govin's strategy focuses on character. Throughout multiple pre-trial hearings, Govin's been labeled calm and respectful by the judge, a trait the defense hopes to spotlight in front of the jury. They want to paint him as a man of control, not a cold-blooded mastermind. His one big misstep, missing that court date after bonding out. But they're hoping jurors won't let that one mistake sink the whole ship. Behind the scenes, Govin's legal team could be prepping a powerful lineup, maybe forensic psychologists or independent investigators, to challenge Smith's credibility and highlight the lack of real backup evidence. If they manage to subpoena phone records, every tiny inconsistency will be put under a microscope. Even small slip-ups could plant reasonable doubt in the minds of jurors. The next big deadline, mid-August 2025, that's when both sides have to swap expert witness lists and lock in their final jury instructions. From there, it's game time. Expect a high-stakes voir dire process where they'll be working overtime to weed out jurors with any kind of bias, especially with the way this case has blown up online. Meanwhile, the internet is doing its own digging. YouTubers like Just Say No Toko and Set D Records Straight have been dissecting every inch of those transcripts. They're pointing out holes in the prosecution's timeline, missing footage, and how Smith's statements have shifted over time. This case is becoming less about what's known and more about what can actually be proven. If Govin's defense can cast enough doubt on Cornelius Smith's motives, shaky memory, or inconsistent storylines, they just might pull this off. Their entire strategy rests on one mission: plant reasonable doubt. Even if the jury finds parts of the case sketchy, if there's just enough uncertainty, Govin could dodge a conviction. The moment they break Smith's credibility, that life sentence without parole starts to look a whole lot less guaranteed. But don't get it twisted, the stakes are still sky high. The prosecution still has surveillance footage showing Smith and Justin Johnson outside Makita's the day Dolph was gunned down. They're also expected to bring in phone logs and financial records that might hint at contact between Govin and the hit squad. And since the burden of proof falls on the prosecution, one wrong move could hurt their case badly. So now Govin's legal roadmap is set. Discredit the only witness, find cracks in discovery, and keep his cool in court. His decision to reject a plea deal adds another layer. It either screams confidence in his legal team or shows he's gambling it all. Because if the jury comes back guilty, it's game over. A life sentence is practically locked in. With the trial date creeping closer, everything hangs in the balance. Govan's entire fate could come down to whether the jury believes Smith is telling the truth or sees him as just another man trying to save himself at any cost. Meanwhile, Young Dolph's memory still reigns in Memphis. He wasn't just a rapper, he was a pillar. He ran paper route empire on his own terms. He handed out turkeys every Thanksgiving, funded neighborhood projects, and put his city on his back. Even after death, Dolph's legacy is louder than ever. Posthumous music drops keep his voice alive, and murals across Memphis make sure no one forgets his impact. But that legacy also casts a heavy shadow over those accused of killing him. Justin Johnson, already convicted, was hit with a life sentence plus 35 years. Prosecutors didn't hold back. They called it a cold-blooded execution, driven by ego, revenge, and a six-figure payday. And now everyone's wondering, is Govin next? Meanwhile, Jamarcus Johnson, Justin's half-brother, got off with probation after helping the suspects after the murder. If he completes a court-approved diversion program, his record could even be cleared. But don't think he's totally in the clear just yet. Cornelius Smith, the prosecution's star witness, he's still got heat coming his way too. Even after cooperating, he's facing trial and possible prison time. The deal just softens the blow, not erases it. Now the pressure's all on Hernandez Govin. In just a few weeks, he's heading back to court, and people believe he holds the key to everything. If Govin cracks, if he confesses, or if he's found guilty, it could confirm what many have whispered for years: a bigger web involving CMG, street politics, and a series of violent moves that left Memphis shaken. But if he beats the case, then he might go down in the public eye as the fall guy, the one they pinned everything on to protect higher players. Either way, people believe this won't end with just Govin's verdict, not even close. This whole thing has stretched way beyond one murder. It's now a storm of street chaos, unspoken beefs, legal chess games, and Yo Gotti's continued silence. Some call it fear, others call it strategy. But everyone in the Memphis rap scene, especially those connected to Young Dolph or CMG, is watching this unfold. Because let's be honest, Dolph's murder didn't just take a life, it set off a chain reaction. A legal, cultural, spiritual, and social earthquake. One that's still shaking the city to its core. And that wraps up this chapter. But the story, far from over. If you made it this far, don't forget to like, share, and drop a comment with your thoughts, especially if you're from Memphis. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's next. See you in the next one.